Hello, Instagram family. Jessica Jean here, and I just wanted to record a little video today about the thing that is closest to my heart, the thing that I have poured so much of my energy, my attention, my love, my soul into over the past 3 years, and that is Shakti Soul Collective Womxns Circle. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I have been so enmeshed in this world of Womxns Circle for so long. I've been sitting in Womxns Circles for 6 years and facilitating for very close to 3. And so it's been, it's like that kind of thing where when you're so involved and in the process of a thing, you forget that to someone who maybe hasn't participated in a circle before, who hasn't been doing this work for so long, there may be things that feel unclear or questions or a desire for clarity. And so I wanted to create this video to give a little bit of a deeper dive than I can through words on Instagram posts into why Womxns Circle, why is it important, why is it needed, why do I do it, all of those things. So the first thing that I wanted to just share was a little tiny sliver about my personal journey with Womxns Circles and working with the Divine Feminine. So I was one of those women who strove to be just like her dad. I wanted to be a good man. I was brainwashed, like many of us are, to believe in toxic femininity. So believing that to be a woman meant to be weak, subservient, vapid, having no ambition other than to, fulfill the traditional roles of a woman. And I was none of those things. And so I rejected femininity at a very early age and became disconnected and disowned that part of myself. My strong suit was being aggressive, being linear, making it happen, being outspoken, being able to engage in confrontation very easily. And so I really led with my masculine for many, many years. And it wasn't until I went to see a male therapist who was and is also a men's circle facilitator, and he shared with me that it seemed that the root of many of my problems were that I was not connected with my feminine. And because I was still in that brainwashed state of believing that feminine meant all the aforementioned things that I just shared, the toxic feminine, I was pissed. I left that session, never saw that man again, and just felt so attacked and misunderstood, but also this planted a little seed in my mind of like, what does that mean, And then after having a abortion and a miscarriage in very close succession to one another, it awakened this part inside of me that was curious about my womb space and curious about what it meant to heal as a woman. And right around this time, my psychosomatic counselor invited me to come and sit in her Womxns Circle. And this was about 5 or 6 years ago. And at this point, I had absolutely no idea what that all entailed, what Womxns Circle even meant. I was super skeptical. Women were scary to me because I was kind of pushed out by a lot of women growing up, and had really had the sister wound ingrained in me, so super mistrustful and afraid of women, and then also in this disconnected state from my own divine feminine inside. So I went anyway because I trusted this woman, and I'm not gonna lie, at first it was really hard. I felt othered, I felt insecure, I felt not good enough. It really brought up so much in me, which now I see is so beautiful. That's part of why we come to Circle, to see what it brings up. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But then slowly but surely, showing up again and again and again, my perspective on Circle, my relationship to women, my relationship to myself, and my own femininity began to shift in dramatic ways. And, looking back at who I was before I began this journey with the divine feminine, to who I am now, and how my entire world has changed because of my work with healing my own feminine and engaging with women around me, it's just incredibly miraculous. And so after feeling so impacted and really understanding why goddess work is so important for femme-identified humans, I decided to open up a circle of my own, and the rest is history, and now it is the most important thing to me in the whole world. So that's a very short version of my journey with Womxns Circle. But what I wanted to really do is let you know why Womxns Circle is so important. Why do it? Why do we do it? And the first thing is, Womxns Circle is at its core about connection. So it's like a spiral. It begins with connection to self. That is the most important part of stepping into Womxns Circle, is learning how to connect to yourself, connect to your own divine feminine inside, and then from there, connection to the other women in that container. And then after that, it's how then do we connect to the collective, both male, female, and everyone in between, identifying humans. So at its core, it's at connection, which I really feel is something that is so lacking in our society right now. And especially as women, if you look back in history, that is the way that we've historically operated, is in communities. We sat together as women and cooked and weaved and gathered and raised each other's children and all of the things. And so, in this culture where every man is an island, and this capitalist structure where we've been taught that you're supposed to live alone, and everyone is supposed to have their own little nuclear family, and that's it. We are missing something that is innately human, which is connection to other flesh and blood human beings. And just simply the medicine and the power that is in a group of women coming together and feeling each other and holding each other's hands and looking into each other's eyes, hearing each other's voices week after week after week, is so incredibly healing on the deepest nervous system cellular level. So that is one of the biggest parts of Shakti Soul Collective Womxns Circle. One of the things that I find of deepest value is the community, the connection. So I could say more and more and more about that, but that's just a little nugget, little seed. The next piece that's really important is a big, really interesting way that we use Circle is using it as a microcosm. So what I mean by this is, in Circle, we're working with a lot of interpersonal dynamics, and we get a really cool opportunity to observe. It's like we take a microscope onto us and how we react in certain situations. So we kind of get to use Circle as this little playground to reveal to us how we are functioning out in the world. So, for example, we do a lot of vulnerability work in Womxns Circle, and it's often very illuminating for people about where they are or are not within their own relationship to vulnerability. And then you get the opportunity to see that in Circle and then take that out into your daily life. So the things that happen inside of Circle are beautiful and transformative just in and of themselves in that space. But then we really get an opportunity to shine a light on places inside of us that are asking for healing. And then that really allows us to carry that out into our lives outside of Circle and lead a more deeply fulfilling and aligned and enriched life. So using Circle as a microcosm is a beautiful tool for self-development. So self-development is also at the core of Shakti Soul Collective Women's Circle. Another really beautiful why behind Women's Circle, why show up, why participate, is we are indoctrinated from the moment that we are born with all different cultural messages and limiting beliefs and cultural norms that are questionable and kind of quite toxic. You know, I mentioned one before, like this isolation that happens, this belief that we're supposed to be completely self-sustaining. You know, the way that our society encourages us to suppress emotion and to shrink and to get small and to armor, and you know, the list goes on and on and on. Lucy girl, it's okay. My little pupper. Come here, Lucy girl. Come here. She's at Women's Circle a lot. So in Women's Circle, I create a container where we are able to play with what it's like to show up in our fullest human potential without those societal norms and structures being imposed on us. So what is it like to show up in vulnerability? What is it like to move past the ways that we've been taught to shrink and show up and be? And you know, the most beautiful thing that I've noticed is that, you know, as humans, we all just want to love and be loved. We all just want to be seen and connect. And it's so miraculous how when you provide humans with that container, that naturally comes through. So a group of 10 people that are, you know, strangers at the beginning of a cycle of Circle, within just a couple of groups are so deeply connected and perhaps sharing things with each other that they don't even share with some of the closest people in their lives, because the container is provided to try on ways of being that we don't get to do in the world. And again, by practicing inside of Circle, we then get the opportunity to take that wisdom and that learning and then bring it out into our lives so that we can have more rich, deep human lives. So that's another really beautiful part of Circle. What else? Healing the sister wound. This is a big one. I'll keep it short here because I want you to come to Circle and dive deep with us. But we have made so much progress as women, and yet we are still operating inside of the sister wound, inside of shaming one another, judging one another, being super triggered by one another, not being able to celebrate one another's success, feeling jealousy towards one another. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? And in this round of Circle, we're really diving so deeply into that. And it's an ugly conversation, and it requires vulnerability, and it requires honesty. But Shakti Soul Collective, one of the main intentions is to really create a space where we can have the hard conversations and do the work to heal the sister wound, again, within our community, so within ourselves, within the community of Shakti Soul Collective, and then outwards. So it's that same thread of connection. You first, then the collective, then beyond. So those are a couple of the reasons why I believe that every single woman in the entire world should come sit in Women's Circle. And there are many more, but I had to limit it down for the sake of this video. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We've got at the time of this recording, we've got a new circle beginning in Boulder mid-February at Amana Yoga. And then we've got the spring round of Shakti Soul Collective beginning in mid-April. And then we've also got the very first Shakti Soul Collective women's retreat happening on April 3rd through 5th of 2020, all of which are beautiful opportunities to explore what Shakti Soul Collective and Women's Circle work is all about. So please reach out with any questions that you may have, anything that I can illuminate for you. I would be more than happy to. And sending so much love and hope to sit in circle with you, my sister.